In the bantamweight division, we got Cody Garbrandt coming in at plus 310. He goes up against Adrian Yanez, who comes in at minus 410. Now, starting off on the Garbrandt side of things, he is coming off of a very controversial decision over Long Zhao, a fight that I thought it was pretty clear, even with the 2-point deductions from Long, that Long should have still won because I scored all 3 rounds for Long Zhao. Again, very mind-numbing decision from the judges there. I thought Zhao won every single round. He was the one moving forward. He was the one, landing more strikes. I believe, Garbrandt got outstruck 59-28 on significant strikes that night, and also failed on 8 takedown attempts against Zhao as well. So, I saw a comment on MMA Decisions that said even with a 2-point deduction, Garbrandt needed a robbery to get the win in this fight, and it couldn't be more clear. So luckily for Garbrandt, he comes out with a win. That snaps his 2-fight losing streak. He had that submission loss to Davison Figueiredo. I believe that was at UFC 300. And then he came up short against Raoni Barcelos. Now, that Barcelos fight was one where he started off pretty good. We saw flashes of old Garbrandt showcasing his speed and his striking prowess. But for some reason, he hit a wall in that second round, and Barcelos was able to fully take over and muzzle the approach of Garbrandt. Garbrandt at his best is a guy with good speed and good power and good striking. But at 35 years old, going through everything that he's gone through, the durability issues that he often showcases, it just does not seem like he has that belief in himself anymore. And if he can't get that early finish, things are going to start to go sideways for him pretty quickly. And as he faces more dangerous opponents, I think we're going to see that on display, as I believe he should be on a 3-fight losing streak. I believe all 3 of his last 3 opponents should have beaten him. 2 of them did, 1 of them should have, but ended up getting robbed on the scorecard. So I do not think Garbrandt is anywhere close to what he used to be back in December of 2016 when he pulled off that upset against Dominic Cruz to win the bantamweight title. And the fact that he's still fighting is a little bit of a surprise to me, but luckily he's been able to finagle a few wins here and there. Now, this weekend, he goes up against Adrian Yanez, who has been on a bit of a tough run himself, right? He is 1-3-1 over his last 5 fights, but I thought we saw some really good work from him in the Ricky Simón fight. That was a fight that, similar to the Long Zhao scorecard for Cody Garbrandt, I thought Yanez got robbed. I think he's lucky that not lucky, but he's fortunate to have gotten away with a draw and not a loss. But I thought it was pretty clear that he won that first round. Without a doubt, he landed the better shots. I know Simón was pressuring a little bit more, and Simón did have a barrage of shots that he landed with about 40 seconds left in that round, but that should not have outdone what Yanez did up until that point. He sniped and countered Simón very well, landed some good shots that shook the chin of Simón, and I thought we saw a very locked-in version of Yanez. In the second round, we obviously saw him get taken down and grinded out from that top position. But in that third round, he showcased very good takedown defense, showed his stick and move style, and he nearly finished the fight at the dying seconds of round 3. Should there have been maybe 10 more seconds in that round, it's possible Yanez would have came through with a TKO win there. So, very unfortunate that he can't come away with his hand raised, especially after his last win coming a few fights ago now against Vinicius Salvador. Even in his loss against Daniel Marcos, he showcased some decent things that night. It made it a close fight, but ultimately it was Marcos who was able to come out with the win there. But Yanez is still better than this 1-3-1 run that he's currently on showcases us. He's still a very clean striker, good combinations, great timing, good speed, has some sting on his shots as well. He trained with Saif Saud going into that last matchup, and I think that's a match made in heaven in terms of a fighter and a coach. And I think Yanez is very coachable, and I think we saw that in the Simón fight. So I still think that Yanez has some potential. I know he's 32 years old. I know the hype on him has pretty much faded from when he was first in the UFC, but he's still a very difficult guy to deal with. And it seems like the betting public is in agreement with that, especially in this matchup as he finds himself as a minus 400 favorite against Cody Garbrandt. Now, Garbrandt could make things interesting early here. Maybe if he can get to his speed and his power in that first round, maybe he finds the chin of Yanez and puts him away that way. But it's really going to take a Hail Mary shot from Garbrandt to be able to pull off the upset. I really like Yanez in this spot. I think he'll be able to remain defensively responsible enough to cause Garbrandt some issues, maybe counter Garbrandt a few times. And then I think once this fight hits the second round, I think it's going to be obvious that it's going to be in Yanez's favor. And I think it's just a matter of time before Yanez ends up finding a knockout. So, I don't mind Yanez as a parlay piece. I'm curious to see what the Yanez KO prop is going to look like, because I could see myself putting a wager down on that, especially if it's at plus money. But I like Yanez in this spot. I think he works Garbrandt down, and I think he eventually finds a finish in round 2 or round 3 by knockout.